Hey, Grand Rising. So today we're going to be discussing the i5. So just got my new i5. How do I unbox it? What's in it? How do I set it up? What's the best practice for first time use? So we're going to be discussing all of that. Stay tuned. So here we have an iTORUS i5. Let's go ahead and open it up. This is the violet flame, as you can see. Here we have the speaker cable that goes into it, and here we have the LED light that blinks every time it works. So let's go and look at what's in the box. And then here we have the magnet. I'm just gonna go and take it. Don't lose this magnet. This is a $30 to $40, $50 magnet, very special magnet. If you lose it, it's going to be a costly replacement. So under it, we do have the power cable. If you look at the power cable, it's already hooked up to your app. So let's go ahead and take that out. We have a iPhone adapter cable. Keep in mind this adapter cable, if you're using it over iPhone, sometimes it can overheat, because if you take this part, this section apart, you notice there is a digital preamp in here. This adapter is really not suited for frequency healing, so it's always best to use an actual cable. This comes also in a non-adapter form. It's actual cable that hooks up, so we highly recommend that. This is how the cable looks like. As you can see, it's a full cable instead of having just an adapter. So depending on which iPhone you have and how it works, we do not recommend this adapter that comes with it. We highly recommend an actual cable that you can get off Amazon. You can just put in your iPhone model, make a model, and then put certified headphone cable, and then you get a bunch of them. Just get the one with the most reviews, and make sure if you're buying for iPhone, it's at least certified. That's important. Going further, we have the Android adapter that we are going to be using. We have the power cable. We have the actual audio cable that hooks up from your device to the app. And here we have the strap and some documentation and how to use it. That's what's in the box. Let's go further. Here we have an amp. This amp is a Class D amp. Just make sure when using the app, you keep this away as far as possible from the iTORUS, because amps Class D specifically, or overall amps Class A, B, C, D, whatever you use, emit a certain electrosmog. So if it's kept close to your device, it can cause some interference with the fuel you're generating. As you can see, the colors are hooked up in such where red goes to red, black to black, and the other side it's the same pair, red to red, black to black. We do not recommend using the Bluetooth unless you have to. Make sure you tighten this. Once you get it, this is loose, so make sure you actually, if you're going to use the Bluetooth, make sure this is tightened. The password of the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth, not the Wi-Fi, is actually in the documentations. And if you're not going to use, we don't recommend using Bluetooth because it has certain distortion and electro smog. So if you're not going to use it, just take it off. Behind it, we do have a power DC, and then we also have the input cable. The volume, make sure you keep the volume around 45 to 65-ish. I never go full force. It's not recommended. You can actually burn your coil if you do anything above 65. So always make sure you keep the volume on around 45 to 65-ish. That's really important. So this is the audio cable that came with it. It's basically one end goes to back of the amp, and there's a hole. I'm trying to do it through the camera. It's hard. Right here. Just make sure it's all the way in. It should be some like this. It should be all the way inside. You make sure you really push it hard so it's all the way in. And the other side, basically take the Android, because we are running it on an Android handheld. So we take our Android connector, and this hooks up to the other end of your connector. When you are hooking up any type of connector, make sure you push it all in, and you should hear a snap like this, right? So yeah, it should be all the way inside. It should. If it's not all the way in, you may not get it to work. And then this end goes to your device. So now let's go over what we have. We have the speaker cables, and then the audio cable runs into the Android device as we have here. A little bit detail about the audio cable. The speaker cable that comes with it, the big cable here. So on the other end, you have this round 4-pin cable, and then on the other end, you have your banana male plugs. And if you notice, they're paired. You have 2 red, 2 black. So you basically make sure they are separated in 2 groups. And then you, on the other end, on the amp, you have the female. So the red goes to red, black goes to black. And if you look at the cable, they are basically defined which is what, right? So if you look at it, there is 2 of them is marked right here. So you basically grab those and pair those together, and they go behind your first input plug. When you are inserting these banana plugs, make sure they are all the way in. You won't hear any snap or anything, but just make sure you push them all the way in so they can go further, and it should look something like that. So let's go ahead and hook up the other one. We now have 4 of them connected. Later on, we will talk about why these are important and when we should care about polarity shift and why is it important. So let's talk one point before going ahead and turning on your amp. We need the power hooked up. One point is very important. First, insert your 3.5 millimeter DC connector here before you connect it to the actual power. If you don't, if you connect it to power first and then connect this one, you're going to see spark and glitch. We don't want that, so it actually can burn your amp. So it's very important that you actually connect this one first, then connect it to the wall. So let's go ahead and connect this one. So we now have the power plugged in. So remember, first you plug in this part before you plug in this part, right? So, and all the wires are not hanging, they are actual. So we now have everything plugged in. Remember, we on the power side, we plugged in this one first, the amp first, before we plugged in the actual outlet. That's really important. And if everything is done right, you should see the amp is off mode. Go ahead and bring the app on 45. You should see a light, red light coming on. If you don't have that, that means either here is not hooked up or the outlet is not hooked up. So make sure you have a red light before you go on. This wire, you have to, the main speaker wire to the coil, you have to kind of twist it so it can only go in certain way, right? And do make sure you don't bend the pins while you're doing it, so be very careful. And then there's a screw that comes on, and then you basically make sure you have it tight all the way in and screwed up. This coil, let's go over. So its most strongest field is inside here, right? So if you put it on the body, if you use it for imprinting, for example, or anything, you can put things on top of it. You can keep it side, you know. So anything that is the hole is pointing is the strongest field, right? So yeah, we now have everything connected. How do we know it's working? Let's go ahead and run a frequency. The very first frequency we want, so let's go ahead and download the PeMF Healing App. This is the PeMF Healing App. You download it from PeMF Healing App, or at the App Store, just search for PeMF Healing. The very first frequency we want, go ahead under brainwaves, under beta, and then just run at 20 hertz. And then go ahead and run it. And then make sure your volume is up all the way, because some devices, they have a default of 50%. Yeah, now it's running. So how do we know it's working? Two ways. On these new i5s, there is a light that's blinking every time it's working. You see, this is actually blinking on certain frequencies, blinking faster, blinking slower. So if this is coming out, that means there is a frequency passed through. You can also test it by taking your magnet and then bring it close to the, let me lay down because I'm doing this just with one hand. And then you bring it really close. Let me drop it so you can actually see it. When you bring it close, you can actually hear that. So you can actually move the magnet even around. So it's really powerful, really powerful. So yeah, you're now set up. You see, you can actually see it. It's really powerful. So you're now fully hooked up with the coil on the app. Then what you want to do is you want to go ahead and so you want to go ahead and make your own favorites. So what you do, you tap in here, you tap in on the star. There is a dialog comes on, ask you if you want to use it for offline mode. If you choose the offline mode, make sure you have enough space on your phone. If you don't, then offline is not going to work. And if you don't want offline mode, just say no, and then you can find in your favorite under menu. Here you can see I have a bunch of items in my favorite. Whenever you start any track in your favorite, it basically loops through. Change your favorites every month. Our body actually gets used to frequencies quite often, so changing your favorite, you can delete any item from favorite, just swipe, and then you can delete any items. So the app, the way it's laid out, is basically very nicely categorized. So you have the electroherbalism, animal vitality. Under general health, for example, you have these categories you can choose from, right? But everything is not only on the general, it's spread out. So you have the general, which is for general vitality, allergy, hair, anti-aging, skin health, spine health, meridians, pain. You have many subcategories in here. You have disorder, diseases, infection, bacteria, inflammation, if you're reproductive health, heart, Dr. Neuer, digestive health is where you can find detox, parasites, but the detox itself also has its own category. Detox, weight loss. So it's all based on intention, EMF. What are you using the app for? So the best is make your own favorite and play them during sleep, or you can use them 2-3 times a day, 15 to 30, 35 minute sessions, 2 hours apart, ground before and after, mental brain. So you see everything is here. You can use this for plants, animals. You have the scalar wave here. So yeah, go ahead and make yourself a 7 to 8 hour favorite, and then you can just run that favorite whenever needed. You can also do a specific single frequencies. If you do a search on top menu, and then whenever you play that frequency through the search, then that frequency will basically loop. If your search comes up with 2 results, it will loop through 2 results. If your search comes up 1 result, it will loop through the 1 result. Favorite would also loop your entire favorite. If you have 1 item in favorite, it will not loop, it will stop after that one. But if you have 2 or 3 tracks in your favorite, it will continue loop. And as far as the iTORUS itself, then what you can do is you can basically putting it on body parts, like this, if you have issues, on the side. So it all matters how you want to use it. Very powerful device if used correctly. Yeah, let us know what you think. I think we basically covered everything. There is one last thing on so when you're running a certain configuration all the time, specifically certain frequencies, if you're running them quite often, like 24/7 like we do, then after a month to kind of create a field structure a little bit, you can only on one channel, not both, only on one channel, swap the red and black. That means black goes in red. Doesn't matter which channel you do it, just black goes to red, red goes to black. And then you can switch it back again. This way you are alternating the field, and it avoids the body to get used to the PEM field. So it kind of creates a scalar field, but always is good if you're using the iTORUS every single day. It's best to alternate the polarity only on one channel every month, not too often, just once a month is enough to really help the body to get that brand new field feeling, so-called speaking. Yeah, let me know in comment if you have any questions. Again, we do not recommend using Bluetooth. I would take the Bluetooth off. And if you are planning to use the Bluetooth, I think the password is 0000, and it comes off under the Bluetooth audio. You can rename it to iTORUS 5. But again, we do not recommend using Bluetooth. So definitely do hardwire for better connection. Keep the amp away from the coil at least 1 to 3 feet and use the coil by itself. The wire should be long enough to help you do that. And as this light, again, keep good attention to it, because if it's blinking like this, that means you have frequency pass through. So this way you don't have to do the magnet test all the time to make sure if it's working or not, right? So I don't know if you can see, but it's vibrating. See, I can drop it in here. You can see it. So another thing you can do, you can take a glass petri dish you can buy on Amazon, super cheap. Put some water, a little bit, just a tiny water in it, and then imprint any frequencies, just half an hour, 40 minutes, and then freeze this right away, and you should be able to see some cool crystallization of the frequency on the water. Or you can take an empty petri dish and put your magnet into it, and then you will see the magnet going up. And remember, I'm only on 50%. I can't even hold the dish on. The dish is about to fall off. That's how powerful this is. Yeah, it's crazy. So yeah, have fun with it. You can use this on body. This is big enough to cover your entire room. You can use it on body parts. You can use it for imprinting, just next to it. Anything next to it here will get the most of the field exposure. Pay attention to the light. So when you're sleeping with this, all you have to do during the night, just look at this light. Is it blinking? You're good to go. If it's not, it might have been shut off. On the phone, when you're using it, make sure you have do not disturb on. And then I usually put it on do not disturb, because any events coming in like text messages can interfere with the signal and stop the signal. If your coil is getting too hot, if you notice your coil is very hot, that means you are too loud. So you do want to bring this down to a less volume. If you have it on loud, then your coil is going to get too hot, and these are coated. You don't want to melt the coating, so you have a shortage. If you have a shortage, then the coil is no longer working. So you really want to pay attention to how hot it gets. If you want to cleanse your iTORUS i5, run the 512 Hertz frequency. It's under the solfeggio. Once a month is fine for 10-15 minutes, and that would cleanse out your crystal. So yeah, this is a beautiful, powerful piece. Enjoy it, and put it in comment if you have any questions, suggestions, and so forth. Take care and have a great day. Let's heal naturally so you can live fully with iTORUS i5 and PeMF Healing App. Namaste.